Hey everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on Zen Planner's reporting functionality. My name is Austin Bondison. I'm the Customer Engagement Manager here at Zen Planner, and we're going to be covering reporting because it is such a robust and unique feature that Zen Planner has. There's so many reports you can be pulling in Zen Planner, so many things that you can be looking at to get a real look at your business, the health of your business, understanding your memberships, what works and what doesn't for your business. All that kind of thing can be done within Zen Planner's reporting. So we're going to be covering that. As you know, you can certainly ask questions within the Zoom webinar functionality. So I have Mike here, an onboarding coach, answering questions live. So feel free to chat in any questions you have. And if there are any at the end that we want to take a look at, we'll take a look at those. All right. Other than that, this webinar is recorded. So if you do have to dip out at any point, or if you join late, you can definitely check back and see what you may have missed just to make sure everything's covered. But that will be sent out in an email following this. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing you're going to see as soon as you log into Zen Planner is the reporting dashboard. And this is a place where you should be able to see the health of your business all at once, kind of in a summary, right when you log in. So as soon as you log in, you can see some of the most important places or reports that you're going to be looking at on a day or weekly or monthly basis. We're going to take a look at this at the end once we kind of look into what makes up a report and how to use them and interact with them. But first, let's go ahead and jump into a report. So the first report we're going to look at is actually a little bit down on our dashboard. It's the past due totals here. And that report is going to show us some information about all of the bills that are past due in our system. So if we click into that, we can see a couple of things here. So number one is the criteria. So that's going to be right up here. Basically what this report is a bills report where the status of the bill is paid, the due date is before today, or I'm sorry, is not paid, so it is overdue. The due date is before today, and the bill type is bill. It does have the ability to be a balance, which is an account balance, not something we want to look at for this here. But what it's showing is all of the bills in the system that are not paid as of today that were due before today. Obviously, I have a lot of unpaid bills in this test database, so don't worry about that too much. But ideally, when you look at this report in your database, you do not have any bills in here. That's the goal. And a reason you may have bills within this report is that members did not pay their bill. Perhaps you created a membership on their account out of error and they have bills on their account that shouldn't be there. There's a number of reasons, and that's why we want to make sure this is always at zero, because it should be something that you can either track down that member and get them to pay the bill, or it's something that shouldn't be there in the first place and maybe you or a staff member added that bill on accident. So let's say that we have all of these bills and we want to go ahead and customize this report because all 41 of these are too much to tackle right now. And we have bills going all the way back to 2017 or 2016. So what we can do to customize this report or any report is to add criteria to narrow down what we're seeing. And what we want to do first is change the due dates to match what we want to be seeing right now. So let's say we only want to take care of bills within the last year, so 2019. And what we can do is add a criteria and say, again, due date, we have before today, but we can say on or after January 1st, 2019. And when we refresh that, we've narrowed it down to just 3 bills here. So now we can see John Grisham has this bill that was due on April 24th. It was partially paid, but for some reason he owes some money. So let's click into that. It's going to take us to the bill on his account. We can call him up, get him to pay the bill. next time he comes in, whatever that may look like. But once we've sorted that bill out, it would disappear off of this report. And obviously we're now in John Grisham's profile, but we want to go back to that report. So we click on the dashboard, we scroll back down, and we click back into our past due total. Now, this has defaulted back to how it was before we edited it or customized it at all. So we would need to add criteria, add the due date, and say on or after 1/1/19, refresh. And ideally, once we've taken care of John Grisham's bill, it would no longer be on here. But in order to save us from having to rebuild this report every time we want to see it, what we can do is go ahead and save the report. So if we look in the top right corner, we can see Save Report. And from there, we can save the report based on a name, category, and description. So let's say past due bills in 2019. One thing that I highly recommend you do when you are saving reports is to create a brand new category that you can save a bunch of reports that you look at on a daily or weekly basis and easily pull from. And so when we click New Category, we can see the option to type in a new category name. So I'm naming this Common Reports, and then don't necessarily need a description. The report name kind of says everything that I need it to. So if we save changes, what we're going to see is that build out right here on the left of Common Reports. And so you'll see our criteria has disappeared, but when we edit the report again, we'll see that information up here. And let's say we then click into Stephen King's account. We take care of that bill, and now we're ready to go and take care of the next one. We can click into the dashboard, and rather than scrolling down, clicking that, building that out again, we just click into Common Reports, see our past due bills in 2019, select that, and it's narrowed down to that specific area. All right, so again, definitely save any reports that you want to check very often in their own folder here on the left. Now, these saved reports do come up for any staff member who's logging in. So if you have a staff member that needs to be checking certain reports, you can go ahead and create a folder for them, a folder for yourself, whoever that may be. And when they log in, they'll see that folder on the left as well. They can click into it, and they can see the reports that you've put in there for them. All right, so if we click back into Common Reports, we can also click into Properties here and delete a report from the file. So let's say we clear out all of our past due bills in 2019. We don't need to look at this anymore. We can go ahead and delete that, keep our folders clean of anything that we don't need to be looking at anymore. All right, another way you can kind of edit and customize your reports is to change the report settings. So let's go ahead and take a look at a new report. And we'll click into a memberships report this time. So we have a lot of options here, but let's go ahead and click into a memberships report. What we're going to see is all of the current memberships, all of the memberships where the status is current. And what we can do to edit this is to edit the report settings in the top right here. And we can change a number of different things here. We can add headers if we need to. For instance, if I don't really need to see the attendance limit or attendance limit type for these memberships, but I do need to see the age of the people who have these memberships, for instance. If I refresh that report, that's going to add this age column here, take away our attendance limit and attendance limit type headers over here. So that's going to be one way we can go ahead and customize this. But another is to edit the report settings and change the format here. So right now it's in this grid format, but we can take a look at this as a totals report. And so if we do a totals report and group this by membership label, what that's going to show us is all 5 of our different membership label types and how many of those are currently active. So we have 7 people on a monthly unlimited CrossFit. We have 4 on a CrossFit group monthly unlimited. We can see exactly how many people are on each of these to see that maybe this one doesn't work for us, or people aren't buying the 3 times a week membership. We should probably exclude it from our offerings to simplify things. You know, it's just a way to kind of see which of your memberships are most popular and which are the least popular, so that you can kind of narrow it down in case you're suffering from too many options. I think a lot of gyms have a bunch of different options to make it as easy as possible, and it ends up kind of not allowing people to choose something because they're so overwhelmed with the possibilities. So it's just an easy way to kind of take a look at how many membership labels you have and whether those are good fits and whether people are buying them. Now again, we can save this report. Let's call it memberships by label. And we can add it to our common reports here, save changes. And now we have that to look back and check on every once in a while as well. Now, there are 3 main things that you can do with reports. To take a look at the first one, which is choose template, so email or mass email or mass text a certain group of people, let's go ahead and pull a new report. And this time we're going to pull an attendance report. Now again, this is a test database, so there aren't a whole lot of options here, but let's say that we need to let everyone who's registered for tomorrow's 1 p.m. boot camp know that the class is canceled because the instructor got sick and doesn't have a replacement. So what we can do, just to get a little more practice customizing these, is to say that the date is January 1st, or rather 16th, 2020, and that the time is 1 p.m. That's the class that we're going to go ahead and cancel. So if we refresh that, we've got 3 people reserved for that class, and we need to let them know that it is canceled. So what we can do is select all of these people and then choose template here. And what that's going to pull up is a bunch of document templates that we can pull from to choose what we want to say to them. And for something like this that comes up only every once in a while, I would choose the blank email here. And then I would fill it out as necessary. So the subject would be boot camp, 1 p.m., January 16th canceled, something like that. The message, just a little more detail there. And then it's going to each of those people's primary email. Now, in order for them to be able to respond, you have to actually add a reply to of the school email as listed in your business info, so that when they do respond, it goes straight to your school's email. Once we click send 3 emails now, that's going to send those people that exact email, letting them know. And right now, we are in document templates. It has pushed us over, once we clicked onto that blank email template, into the document templates area. So what we would need to then do is go back to our dashboard, click into a new report, and come back to that attendance report. So the next thing we can do with this report is to batch update a number of selections within the report. So for instance, let's say that I forgot to check people in yesterday. And as we can see on the right here, they did reserve and they did attend, and that's been noted. So let's go ahead and do it for the people on the 16th. Let's say today is the 17th, and we need to check in the people from yesterday. And I know that Annie was there, Richard was there, and Stephen was there. So if we click into those 3 people, we can batch update, and we can choose whether they've reserved or attended, all as a batch. And I know all 3 of them did, so I'm going to say attended yes, and I'm going to save changes. And now we can see that all of them have been checked into class. So just a great way to take care of a bunch of people's statuses all at once. Now keep in mind that this batch update changes based on the type of report you're pulling. So as we can see, this is an attendance batch update. But if we go to a people report, so if we click into new report and click on people, we can see a bunch of people here who our status is student. And when we click batch update, we now see a people batch update, which includes things like gender, adding people to groups, changing their primary instructor, that kind of thing. So if we needed to add all of these people to a new group that we've just created, we can select them all. We can click batch update, and we can add them all to a group. So let's say the CrossFit group. If we select that, we save changes. Now all of them have been added to that group. Similarly, if we pull a new report and click into a bills report, we're going to see a bunch of bills. This is just one because I only have one in the last 30 days. But same thing here, we can select as many as we need to. We can click batch update, and we can change the income category for all of these bills, or the due date, or the unit price. That's basically what we're doing based on the report that we're pulling. We can mark them all as paid as of today or as of their due date, but it's a way to take care of a bunch of bills all at once, and that's the batch update functionality there. The third thing we can do with reports is to download them. So for that, let's go ahead and click into our dashboard. We'll click into a new report, and we'll take a look at something that you may want to download for the tax season of 2019. So that would be clicking into a bills report. And what we would want to do is say due date is on or after 1/1/19. The bill type is a bill. And then we'll say the due date is on or before 12/31/2019. So we're encapsulating all of 2019 in one report that we can download. Now we'll see that we have 61 different items in 2019, but we want to see, this is a bills report, and we want to see how much money we made. And sometimes that doesn't include the unpaid bills, like these two up here. So what we would do is add criteria and say that the status of these bills is paid. So then when we refresh that, we've gone down to 58. And just to make a quick note here, you're only going to see the first 50 when you first pull a report. So if you want to see all, you'll click show all, and we'll see all 58 here. Now what this is going to do is it's going to total everything down here. So the amount due is listed. And then one other note, just because this does apply to tax season, is to edit the report settings here and include the tax amount and tax to amount for these bills. So if we refresh the report, we can now see tax amount and tax to amount. And when we scroll down, we'll also see how much was paid in total between all of these bills for tax 1 and tax 2. Now, getting back to downloading this, that's going to be right here on the right-hand side. We can download this as a PDF or as a CSV. And so when you download a PDF, it's going to pop up down below. And it doesn't look great. There's not a lot of reasons you would download a PDF of a report, maybe for attendance or something, or if you're checking people off of a list, downloading a list of all of your students in PDF and printing that out and checking people off as necessary is great. Otherwise, we're going to want an Excel spreadsheet. So what we can do is, again, click onto download, and I'll have to refresh it because I've already downloaded once here. So I'll refresh. and then I will scroll over and download a CSV instead. And so when I open that CSV, it's going to open up Excel for me. Let me go ahead and share that. And now we can see all of that information in an Excel spreadsheet. Now, the one thing that Zen Planner is not going to do when it exports this is make totals for you. So something you'll have to do is, let's say all of our amount due here that was paid is something that we need a total of. So what we can do is equal sum parentheses, click and drag all of those, hit enter, and now we have our total here. So when you do export to Excel, it does take a little bit of Excel knowledge to get those totals within the Excel file, or if you're comparing two different reports and seeing what the difference is or what the sum is, you'll have to do that on your own. But for the most part, it's giving us all of the information from that report and pulling it into a file that can then be sent to, our tax, the people who do our taxes or whoever may need that information. So definitely download whatever you need to, especially as the year ends and we take a look back at our taxes for 2019. So going back into Zen Planner, we've taken a look at choose template here, batch update here, and the download functionality. So those are the three main things that you can do with these reports once you have the information that you need within them. But now let's take a look at the saved reports on the left here. So if we click into dashboard, we're going to see all of our saved reports on the left and then our dashboard in the front. But first we'll cover on the left here. So these are a bunch of common reports that we've added into Zen Planner because we know basically what businesses generally need as far as pulling reports goes. Obviously that varies from business to business, but we've created some that are helpful for most every business that uses Zen Planner. So, for instance, we have our attendance reports. This is going to show things like class reservations for the next 7 days, class reservations this week, basically a bunch of reports based on attendance with summaries of each in them. Now, Austin's reports and common reports are ones that I've created, and same with favorites, but otherwise we have finances, which pulls a lot of different financial reports into your database. So things like end of year tax report, failed payments, any failed payments that have not gone through, profit and loss statement, all of that kind of thing. So if you're thinking, I need to see something specific in Zen Planner as far as my finances go or my attendance goes, definitely check these saved report folders. And you may find something that is just what you need, or you may find something that just takes a little bit of tweaking to get it to where you want it to be. Next is log, and that's going to show information about who has done what in your database. So there's a number of different things that you can find logs of, things like changes to a person's profile, membership additions or deletions, that kind of thing. But for an example, let's take a look at the membership log. And here we can see, again, exactly what happened when this membership was added here. So we can see that Annie, a membership was added to her account by Zen Planner support team, so that was me. And then it happened here on January 15th at 9:21. This is super important as far as understanding if any sort of mistake was made in your database. You can see exactly which one of your staff members was logged in when it happened, whether that's a membership was deleted erroneously or a membership was added, all that kind of stuff, so that you can help that person understand, what they did wrong or how they should have changed that. But that's also why it's important that you and all of your staff members have different logins so that you're not all using the same account and it's harder to pinpoint exactly who did what and when. So keep that in mind because that will say the staff member's name right here as long as they're logged into their account. All right, other than that, we have member reports. So how many people are on hold right now? How many people have an upcoming hold? How many new signups do I have in the last 90 days? All of that kind of information. My reports is one I created, and then we get into onboarding resources, which is something that I, again, definitely have some that I recommend you check out here. So the first would be auto pay missing, and the second is auto pay ready to activate, and these go hand in hand. So if we look into auto pay missing, basically what this is saying is that all of these memberships, because it is a memberships report, not a people's report, so you may see the same person more than once here because they have these 3 memberships currently and then these 3 memberships that have not started yet. But what would happen is if we went into John Grisham's account and we added a credit card onto his account here, we entered his credit card info or bank account, then he's going to be removed from the auto pay missing report. Basically what that's saying is that whoever is on this report does not have a credit card on file. So they don't have the ability to have auto pay turned on for them. So if we did go ahead and enter a credit card or bank account here, we could click back into that report by going to Dashboard, Onboarding Resources, and clicking into Auto Pay Missing, and he would no longer be on this list. So this is important for making sure that everyone in your database has a credit card or a bank account on file. This is another report where ideally there are no memberships in this list. Now, what would happen to John once we added a credit card to his account is he would be removed from this list, and then he would be added to auto pay ready to activate list. And what that means is that these people do have a credit card on file, but these memberships do not have auto pay turned on. Again, we are big proponents of auto pay at Zen Planner. We think it's important that you have that turned on for people so that they're not missing payments. You're not wasting your time tracking down payments. They're just, it's coming out of their bank account. They're used to it. It comes out once a month. It's very standard for auto pay to be turned on at this point. That being said, there are some memberships that you may not need to have auto pay turned on. For instance, Annie has an 8 punch card, which does not auto renew once her 8 punches are up. So she doesn't need to have auto pay turned on because we aren't going to charge her automatically as soon as she uses that 8th class. So this list, while ideally you keep it small and you can troubleshoot at least, because someone like Richard Adams, who has a CrossFit group monthly unlimited membership and should be on auto pay, we can go ahead and click into that and then turn his auto pay on for him. So once we select that and save changes, he will no longer be on that list for this membership as well. Now that is membership to membership. So as we saw, he had 2 in there, but you want to make sure that you're turning it on for the appropriate memberships. Like I said, the punch card, it's fine that it's not in there. Maybe somebody pays with credit or rather cash, so they're on your report. But it's an easy way to, if you are using auto pay for the majority of your members, make sure that everyone has a credit card or bank account on file and then has auto pay on for their monthly memberships. Cool, those are just 2 that I really like to point out there. Otherwise, these are onboarding resources, so they do generally help when you are getting started with Zen Planner. So feel free to check those out, but they may be things that you don't necessarily need to be checking all the time. We also have operations reports, which is similar to log in that it's showing a bunch of different kind of things on the back end, not so much about your members. Prospects, so anything about prospect history or where you're getting them from, sources, or a call list, people you need to be calling. Retail items and reports. So those are important if you are pulling retail or selling retail at your business. And then retention. So things like drops by rank, retention summary, year-to-date drops by reason. You can see why is it that people are quitting your gym, as long as you're keeping track of that when they are dropping, because that is important to note. Now, the last thing we're going to take a look at is the dashboard. And like I mentioned in the beginning, this is what you want to be looking at as ultimately the health of your business and how are you doing with your goals. You should always be pushing your business, obviously, to grow and to retain members. So these are ways that you can pull or quickly see reports based around your finances, your members, how many people you have, how many students you have, all of that. So as we can see, we have some membership reports, attendance reports, marketing reports, calendar, and financial. But when we click into customize, we can change the reports that are pulling on our dashboard. Now, unlike the folders here, a dashboard is unique to your login. So if you create a dashboard specifically for you, it's not going to show up when another staff member logs into their account. So this is something that is unique to your login. So keep that in mind, that other people may not see exactly what you're seeing. There's also a limited number of reports that you can pull. You can't just add in any customized reports that you want into your dashboard, but that's where these folders come into play, because there should be two places you're checking, whether it's your dashboard or a saved reports folder. Now, we can come in and click into or out of whatever reports we want to be seeing on our dashboard to make it optimized for us. But we can also be setting goals over here on the right. And so what this is saying, let's say for all students, right now I have 10 students in my database. My goal by, let's say, March is to have 30 students. So once I've hit 30 students, that icon next to that report is going to turn green. Once I hit 15, it'll turn yellow. And right now it's red because I only have 10, so I haven't hit that 15 mark yet. So when I click into my statistics for the dashboard, we can see I have 10 students. I've got a red. I'm not halfway to my goal yet, and I also haven't made it all the way to my goal yet. One that I really like to point out, and I think that you should have as an anchor for your finances, is to click into financial and look at your past due total. Like I mentioned before, ideally your past due amount is 0. So one quick way to spot that something's gone wrong is to set your goal as 0, and anything above $1 immediately turns it into a red, because that means that you have some past due bill and you need to identify why that is, whether it's someone whose credit card failed and you need to reach out and make sure that they update it, or it could be that one of your staff members added 2 memberships to somebody's account and that member paid the right one, but the other one is creating bills in error that don't need to be created. So if we click into my statistics again, we can see immediately past due, red, something's wrong here. So it just catches the eye and makes sure that you know exactly what's going on in your business. Same thing with amount due. Maybe you have a goal for the next 30 days, and once you add in those goals, you can see green, yellow, or red to make sure that you're getting the right amount within the next 30 days. One other thing that I want to point out when it comes to reports, just because it does come up quite a bit, is the criteria that we're looking at here and the report settings that we're looking at here vary based on the type of report that you're pulling. So what that means is that rather than pulling every single type of criteria into every single report that you pull, which would cause Zen Planner to go super slow because it's pulling everything from the database into every type of report, we've customized it so that only the criteria that are important to that report type are listed. So we're seeing here, this is a bills report. So we're seeing things like sign up fee, due date, due month, all of that. We're not seeing things that would be long in a people report like birthday or birth month or phone number, or I guess we are. So there is a little bit of overlap. But basically what I'm trying to say is that you may not, if you're not seeing a criteria in one report, you may need to pull a different type of report in order to find exactly what you're looking for. And those do correlate with the criteria being listed here. So we've got a large number of different criteria here, but if we were to pull a new report for, let's say, attendance, these look very different than the bills reports, which include things like due date. And this is an attendance report, so it includes last attendance date, session type, that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. And like I mentioned, if you ever need help pulling a report because it's very specific to you, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to our customer support. I'll include their information in my follow-up email. But reports are, there's a lot to be looking at. So if you're wondering if you can even pull a specific report, or if you're having trouble finding the information you need for a report, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to our customer support. They'll be happy to help you build out that report and also teach you step by step how to build that out so that you can kind of learn as you go. But as a sort of practice, I would say to definitely think about something that you want to be seeing and work on building it out from the new report here. Just kind of like, okay, I want to be seeing bills and I only want them to be seen from the last 60 days. And I also only want it for this specific staff member. You know, however you want that to look, I would highly recommend getting some practice building out reports. And then, like I mentioned, saving them in a folder so that you know how to look back at them without having to build them out every single time. All right, I'm going to go ahead and check with Mike to see if we have any questions that we can cover as a group here. Give me just 1 second. Okay, doesn't look like he has any questions. He was answering some in there, but they're all pretty specific. So other than that, we will be back next week for a webinar on staff development with Nikhil Joshi, who some of you have seen webinars with him before. But other than that, have a great day, and we will see you next week.